All right. So if you're around my age, maybe I'm 53. So if you're like a 45, maybe even 40 plus person who's kind of been through a couple different careers, maybe at this point, maybe you only had one, and you're kind of wondering like, what is next? And, with this AI stuff coming along and jobs getting replaced and roles getting replaced, what is it that we need to do to kind of stay ahead of the game, like stay relevant, but at the same time, we still have to think about the future. We may have retirement, we may not. You may want to retire, you may not. And that sounds crazy. A lot of people are think I'm nuts when they ask me like what my retirement plans are. And I usually tell them like, well, I don't really plan to retire because I just like what I'm doing, right? Willie Nelson doesn't retire because he likes playing music. Harrison Ford, I just watched 2 series with him last year. He's not retiring, right? Why? Because they love what they do. So today, I just kind of wanted to walk you through kind of like the 5 pillars of what I'm calling redefining retirement. That's the name of my channel. I also have a newsletter with that name. And I'm just going to walk you through the 5 pillars, right? I'm just going to show you like, what it is that I'm going to use to guide me as I build this particular business out, in public in front of you. So stick around. We'll talk about it. But first, I just want to remind you if you're new here, I am building a creator business in public with a unique twist. I kind of already alluded to it already. This is basically my retirement plan. I'm 53. And well, like I said, I don't know if retirement's going to be there. I don't really think I care if I'm going to retire. This is my answer to that, right? Is doing what I'm doing here. So if you're a 50 plus creator, 45 plus, hey, we'll take you guys too. And this sounds interesting. Make sure that you subscribe now and follow along because everything I do is going to be through that lens. Also, before you go any further, make sure that you grab the AI newsletter fast track guide that I have. It's right below this video. It is the most important asset for any business. And that's not really my opinion. That's kind of a tried and true thing. So check that out. Whether you got a big channel, you're just starting, whatever it is, whatever kind of a business that you have, if you don't have an email list, you need one. So just jump below the video and check that out. So anyway, back to the pillars. I'm going to flip over to my screen here and we're going to go over to my handy Notion folder here and get me out of the way. There we go. So 5 pillars of redefining retirement. You can see 5 here. Let's go through one by one. So first one, entrepreneurship is the new job security. This is something I kind of started to realize way back in, I don't know, the mid 2000s when I was working as a draftsman, a mechanical draftsman. And I don't know, I just didn't like the fact that I had a ceiling on my wages, even though I might have been providing ideas that were making the company a lot of money. Right. So I started thinking this way, but now I'm even more dug in on this. So entrepreneurship is a new job security. Let's read this here. So fast change is the new normal, very fast change. Instead of clinging to outdated career paths, we lean into self-reliance. That is the key. We teach you to think like entrepreneurs, even if you've spent decades as an employee. This isn't about risk. It's about building something that gives you options. That is key, right? We want to be self-sufficient. And when you think like an entrepreneur, that is the best way to be self-sufficient. If you're always, I just did a video on this the other day. You can go back and check on it, but it's basically you want to get out of that wage trap. You don't want to be sitting there thinking like hourly, right? You want to be thinking multiple streams of income. You want to be thinking bigger, like how do I get closer to the value? So again, entrepreneurship is the new job security. Pillar number 2, experience is your competitive edge, especially in the AI era. Um, this is a big one. I'll read this quick here. AI without experience is just expensive autocomplete. I love that. Your decades of real world work give you the one thing machines can't fake: taste, judgment, and better questions. And I'm going to show you how to package what you know and use AI to accelerate, not replace your insight. Now, this is something that to me is a big deal. Let's close that up so we can focus on that. but this is a big deal as well, right? We've had so many different jobs, especially at our age, right? Gen Xers, we've for me, I worked in a McDonald's, I've worked in foundries, I've worked in factories, I've washed dishes, but then I was a mechanical draftsman. I've worked as a salesperson. I've had all these different experiences, 19 different jobs to be exact. And we've also know the difference between, what it was like before the internet and after the internet, right? We remember what it's like to live in the analog world where you couldn't just go find an answer really quickly. You had to go to the library and look for a book and hope that that book was even in the library, right? So we kind of remember that. We remember what it was like to only have one phone in the house, or we had to share the TV with the rest of the family. We couldn't just stare at a phone for 3 hours. So we remember that, and that's very valuable, right? Because it's kind of keeping us um tethered to reality in a way. I don't want to say that like post internet isn't real, but I think you know what I mean. So that stuff is all valuable. All those skills, all those soft skills that we've learned, that is basically your competitive edge, right? Because your skills, your experience is kind of like your unique fingerprint. And, AI is going to be able to replicate a lot of that stuff. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's ever going to be like you. So you should use AI to enhance yourself, not necessarily replace yourself, right? So that's number two. Number three, talked about this already a little bit at the beginning, but newsletters, and I'll just say email lists, are the ultimate asset in a noisy world. So social platforms come and go, email stays. This has been happening for years, and going all the way back to MySpace. I remember these people would have these huge MySpace followings, and then MySpace slowly started to go away, right? And then now it's completely gone, but they'd have these huge followings on there and they weren't getting people off of the platform. So what would happen? They would lose their entire audience. You don't want that to happen. And that's why I think that email newsletters are so huge. I made this mistake back when I had a fantasy football blog. It was one of my very first online businesses. And I was getting tens of thousands of visitors from Google like every week, or actually twice a week for different posts. And I wasn't collecting emails. All those people came and they left. I mean, sure, it was great if somebody remembered to come back, but there's a lot of people that I probably could have helped, kept around. And some other reasons too is I have a couple newsletters. I have one, my singer songwriter newsletter, where I still have about 1,000 people on there, and then I also have a music marketing newsletter, and I can still send out emails to those lists and still get a reaction. I can still send them to a YouTube video. I can still send them to, maybe there's a new social platform like TikTok wasn't around 10 years ago, but like now, if I wanted to drive traffic to my TikTok videos, which I did last year when I was promoting one of my shows, I was able to do that. And those people have been with us or with me for about 10 years now. So you can see the value. You can always reach out to them. You don't have to worry about like if you get canceled on YouTube, it's like, okay, great. Just pack up your your email list and point it at another platform, right? So that's why it's important. And just to kind of keep reading here, a personal branded newsletter gives you control, compounding trust, and direct access to your audience. That's a big one without playing the algorithm game, right? YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, they all have algorithms. Their priority is their platform, right? They don't want to send people off of the platform. They want to keep them on there so they're watching so that they can extract um as many ad dollars as they can because they're getting paid for the advertise or from the advertisers. So they want to keep you on there. So their algorithms are trying to find stuff that's working. I mean, you want to use them because that's where you're going to be able to get traffic and you're going to be able to get more, build your audience, but you don't want to be a slave to them. You want to try to get people that are really interested. You want to get them off of the platform and onto something else like a newsletter so that you have direct access to them. It also helps to kind of establish a relationship with them too, right? Like if you go and you sign up for my newsletter below, I've got a series of newsletters that's going to start, it's going to tell you about my philosophies. It's going to give you more information that's going to help you grow your business and help you create a newsletter. So it's just going to help us get to know it. You also get free access to me, right? Like you can just reply to any one of those emails and I'm on the other side because I'm looking at them and I'll answer your questions or say hi or whatever it is. So it's a big deal. Newsletter is your home base, it's your digital real estate and your hedge against platform risk. And again, if you're building if you're building stuff on a social platform, you are essentially building on rented land, right? Would you build a house on rented land? You own the house, but you don't own the land. Well, what if the landlord says, you know what, I don't want your house on my land anymore? I mean, that's essentially what you're doing here. So, not the greatest analogy, but I think you get the idea. Number 4, play offense with an income portfolio. Now, when I talk about redefining retirement, this is what I'm talking about. One income stream is a liability these days, right? If you get fired from your job or all of a sudden the boss thinks that an AI bot is going to do your job better and cheaper and not call in sick and all that other stuff, well, guess what? You're going to be gone and you just lost 100% of your income from one job. So you definitely want to be looking for more opportunities. I'm going to help you guys build multiple paths because that's what I'm doing. Multiple paths to revenue from newsletters, affiliate marketing, digital products, consulting. Man, there's so many things. I'm just scratching the surface on how many different ways I'm going to be looking to monetize. I right now I've been supporting myself for the last 10 years with basically with consulting income and few other things like I already mentioned. I have a couple newsletters that are kind of still floating around. I mean, I'm not getting huge income from them. However, I have those skills and putting them to work right now talking to you. And this is about building income that fits your life. That's another important point, not someone else's organizational chart. So again, we want multiple streams of income. Some people will call it like a portfolio career. That's another term that's thrown around out there a lot. But I like to think about it kind of the way you would think about a retirement plan or a 401k, right? Like, so with a 401k, you try to diversify all the different investments that you're bidding on. You're not throwing it all into just one company, but you're putting it in different companies and maybe even different verticals, right? Well, it's the same thing. And that's more of a defensive approach where you're just playing defense. You put your money in there and you want it to grow. Now, with my offensive retirement strategy, is what I'm calling it. I mean, we are building out income streams that are going to be around, right? We're playing offense. We're going out there. We're finding more ways to make money. And every time you learn something new, it becomes a potential revenue stream. Like as I'm learning, as I've been doing this YouTube thing, I've had to use like Riverside FM, for instance. It's a new tool that I'm learning so that this could potentially become an income stream because I can get affiliate income from it, or I can make videos about it, or I can help someone else by using Riverside FM to edit videos. I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but you just see every time you add a new skill, it becomes valuable and you add it to your income portfolio if you so choose. But just by learning stuff, it just opens up new avenues. So again, play offense with an income portfolio. And finally, number 5, one of the key components and one of the things that I like that kind of inspired the name Redefining Retirement and inspired my newsletter and all that stuff is this isn't about quitting. It's about reinventing. We're not done. We're just getting started. I know a lot of people think I thought in my 30s that I was getting old and screwed. Well, now I'm at 53 and yeah, certainly feel old some days, but you know what? There's a long way to go yet. If you're healthy, you're probably looking at at least another 10 or at least another 20 years, maybe 30, maybe 40. Who knows? Maybe we can make it to 100. People are living longer. So it's like, you know what? We're going to want to stay busy. We're going to want to do shit that matters because we don't want to just how many stories have you heard where people are like, they retire? I know I've had friends' parents that have retired and maybe 2 months later they're dead. It's almost like they just kind of gave up and they just didn't care anymore. Well, I don't necessarily want to go down that road. But then at the same time, I don't want to play golf every day. I mean, I know some people will do that and maybe that's their dream retirement. To me, I just want to be productive. I like geeking out on this stuff. So I'm going to try to build something online, which I'm doing right now, that's going to sustain me, that I'm going to like doing this, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. I'm still going to get up and make a video. I'm still going to get up and geek out on some kind of a business idea, or hell, maybe I'll find more ways to make money with music and I want to do that again. But either way, I'm giving myself options. So, again, the path isn't always easy. It's going to take courage, patience, and consistency. There are definitely ups and downs with this type of entrepreneurial path, but you get used to it. It's just like anything else. You build the muscle, and it just becomes easier to, when as you learn, it's just going to become easier to find more income streams. It's going to be easier to get into the groove and all that stuff. It's just, for some people, myself included, I was so used to being an employee my entire life. It's kind of almost like, you're used to someone else taking care of you. Now you have to take care of yourself when you're an entrepreneur, right? So you're going to depend on really good relationships, but you're also going to depend on, being able to spot opportunities, being able to learn new things, being able to get out there and make things happen. But at the end, I believe retirement shouldn't mean withdrawal from work. It should mean freedom to work on what matters to you most. Again, that's the key, right? Like, we want to explore and find that stuff that is going to give us to, help us work on things that we actually want to work on. And it's like, I don't necessarily think, work is kind of a weird word, because you could either, I would say work to me is like something that I just don't necessarily want to do. You know what I mean? Like, I might get up and do something for like 2 hours in the morning. I could call it work, but really it's almost like play in some ways, right? Because I'm learning something. Like, when I'm recording this video right now, I don't necessarily look at it like I'm doing work. I like doing this stuff. I like creating content. I like talking with you and sharing this stuff, and hopefully you'll comment and all that stuff, because then we can geek out on it together, and that's even better. so so is that work? Yeah, I suppose it could be, but to me, is work stuff that you don't want to do. And I'm going back to days when I was working, because I worked on assembly lines before, and you want to talk about something that wants to make you freaking, blow your head off. Probably shouldn't say that on YouTube, but that to me, that's work, right? Stuff that you just gotta drag yourself up and do every day. Which, you know what, you have to do some of that stuff, but we just want to try to minimize that. So anyway, those are my 5 pillars. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, let me know in the comments. Let me know. Do you do you agree with this? Do you align with this? Am I crazy? I mean, let me know. I love to hear everybody's perspectives, because it's not perfect. I get pushback all the time. A lot of my friends would ask me this over the years. I've gotten a lot of crap. I think I'm on the right track, and some of them have told me that maybe they don't think that way anymore. But again, I just want to hear different opinions, because I am by no means an expert. Just because I have all these philosophies and these pillars doesn't mean that they're 100% right. I want people to put them to the tests. Make sure that you drop a comment or anything below to let me know. So anyway, before I let you go, 2 things I want you to do. Again, go check out that AI newsletter fast track guide that I have for you, because again, that is the most important asset that you can have when you're doing anything online, especially. But I can make the same case for pretty much any business. And I've worked with a lot of different businesses over the years as a Google Ads consultant. Whether you're a plumber locally, a newsletter will come in handy at some point. Or if you're God, I don't know. I've worked with so many different customers or clients, software companies, all that stuff. So yes, you just want a freaking newsletter. You want an email list of people that you control, that you can pack up and point them anywhere that you want to do. So grab that. And then finally, number 2, I've been doing this stuff for a really long time. If you're thinking about, if there's ways that you can make your business better, if you got a creator business, or maybe you're just getting started with some sort of a business, whether you're doing something on YouTube or you're doing something on TikTok or Facebook, any social platform, or hey, maybe you started a brand new widget, let me know. I can give you some personalized coaching or whatever below. Just there's a link below. Just schedule a time. I'm doing like free 30-minute consultations right now. And I love geeking out on this stuff. I love looking at people's businesses. I love looking at their experiences, their skills, and all that stuff, and coming up with the solution and pointing them in the right direction, right? I'd rather I do it than you go find some, you know, crazy guru guy on the internet that, kind of seedy. I would rather that you talk to me first. And yeah, and I'm right now doing totally free 30 minutes. So go ahead. It's right below the video. Reach out and let's see if we're a good fit, and I'll see if I can. I'm not going to say see if I can. I'm pretty much sure I can at least move you to the next step. So check that out. I'm rambling. Thanks again for watching. Make sure that you subscribe. Remember to comment below too if you think I'm a freaking crazy man or if you think I'm onto something. Let me know below because I love it. For now, that's all I have for you unless you want to watch a video that I've got up here somewhere because I'm always adding to these things. All these videos string together. I'm trying to make a giant build in public, build your retirement plan soap opera. That's what we're going for. And that's what YouTube likes. So there you go. Binge if you want. Otherwise, do the other things I just told you to do. That's way too many things. I'm breaking the rules. Too many call to actions. Breaking the rules. Anyway, see ya in the next one.